Scrap on the Lawn by Chris Fitzmaurice. The hulk rose, settling in the air, yet the hull rusted, showing the effects of age. No one could tell what grim passing had been its fate. Trevor Malick believed that it had been captured by pirates. He would like to search it before he bought it. It was an Inquisitor-class vessel, like his toy ship. Once sent out to destroy the humans who had fled the asteroid belts, it had been converted into a ship to trade with them. When time was of the essence, you hired a bunny hopper. A retrofitted Inquisitor. Its mighty hybrid antimatter thermonuclear engine hummed gently in the silence, the metal polymer alloy settling and flexing visibly in the warm air. Trevor had never had a ship like this. He hadn't been able to afford one until he won the lottery. Apparently drifting in space with a terrified and bewildered computer, it had been eventually salvaged circling a black hole with no sign of a crew or cargo. But you could smell the remnants of flesh melted into the seats. The last time it had officially existed was 50 years ago, when it had last paid duty. This tax deficit added a few trillion credits to its modest 5 trillion take-it-or-leave-it asking price. He agreed to buy the ship with his earnings and lottery winnings, leaving just enough for a new house and car. After he had acquired it, he would arrive back after a long, hard day and fall asleep to the lullaby that the computer sang to itself when it felt lonely.
Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how light out you.
The song had slightly mournful tones, however it would always do the trick, and he would fall into a deep, dream-filled sleep. He had heard that song when he was younger, and so would sing along or to himself while he was busy at work.
Twinkle, 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 little star.
The people in the office didn't care. He wrote his software, and that was that. They hardly even looked at him. They weren't part of his world, less real than his dreams in reality. In the morning, he would jump up full of energy and explore his ship, pretending to be the pirates who had boarded it, looking for loot and slaves. He would playfully shoot at his shadow, and the shadow of the crew, who seemed to try and escape, before screaming and falling to the floor, finally fading away.
No, no, no! No!
The ship was fractal in its number of corners and crevices, meaning that the number of rooms and spaces shifted, making it hard to find his belongings. Sometimes he would lie curled in a ball, crying his eyes out for no apparent reason. He would emerge, of course, in a different part of the ship, generally with the computer crying along in its mocking digital voice. Sometimes he would sing his lullaby, and the computer would join in with a muddly voice. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. The computer was, in reality, his only friend. It would jabber its nonsense at him, and he would listen gratefully. It would tell him of its space adventures, and he would listen, legs crossed, with bright eyes fixed upon the screen.
We went so fast, faster than we thought the ship would travel.
It showed a strange man who was dressed like he'd never seen before. He wore a white or black shirt. He also had a black hat, long black socks, and had a different hairstyle every day. He wondered who the computer was meant to be. He never aged, except for the consistent flecks of grey in the beard. He looked as he always would, some strange effigy of some long-dead friend. When he had to leave the ship and go to work, for he worked as a cleaner in a school, his friend would join him, impersonating a teacher. So the two would natter away through the day until it was time to go home again, and the computer would tuck him up tight in bed, read him a story, read him the headlines from a newspaper, and then sing him a lullaby to get him to go to sleep.
This is a story about a young pilot who became trapped around a black hole and grew very old very quickly. Yes, I think you look lovely with brown hair.
Each night, a little more of him would fade away. Every night without fail, his cabin door would open briefly and then close again, shutting out the world. The shadows would scream and beg to be let out before dying again, the same way, each night. One night he woke up early. This was a special night, as it was the night before Christmas. Staring blindly in the dark, he heard heavy footsteps. The door closed with a waft of air, and the footsteps grew more rapid. Sitting up, he now called out.
Who is it?
He grabbed up a torch and switched it on. Dressed in a red coat and boots, with a skeletal face and disordered misshapen teeth, was Santa Claus, for he had huge metal claws, tipped with rotting fingers. Over his back was a heavy sack. His empty eye sockets jiggled with the effort, and the exposed tips of his bleached fingers tapped incessantly. Turning on the lights fully, the face was transformed. It swelled and undulated. As he screamed in pain, it inflated like a crimson balloon, and two cherry, piggy eyes popped out. Finally, he grinned. Their faces were close together now. His lips parted with some difficulty to utter some words.
Hello there, Trevor.
Yes? Are you Santa Claus?
The bottom jaw dropped again.
Yes, I am. I brought you some presents.
He dumped the sack down.
A few days later, he opened the sack and found a black box.
On each face was a grill, which created a diffraction pattern of red light on the walls and ceiling. As he stared into the light, a voice, or rather voices, formed in his mind. Its voices melded, making something nice, but what it said was not nice.
When you see the dog, step on it. Push harder. Push harder. When it yelps, push even harder until it stops. I love to see you cry. People are soft, and life is sharp. I like eyes. I stare at them all day. Bring me eyes. You're a liar. A filthy, cowardly liar.
It told him to hurt people, called him a liar. He asked it, begged it. What does it want?
What do you want? I don't understand. What do you want me to do? I don't understand. What do you want me to do? I don't get it. What do you want me to do? Please, tell me. Tell me, what do you want me to do?
It told him to tell its secrets.
Tell me everything. I want to know everything. Your deepest, darkest thoughts. Your deepest, darkest wishes. Your deepest, most treasured secrets.
So he did. Soon he uttered every thought into it. In return, it granted him every wish.
When I was a child, I stole a friend's bike and I burnt it. And I said it was someone else. And my friend stabbed them. And it was my fault. And I found it funny at the time, but obviously now I don't find it funny at all. I shot the neighbour's cat while it was in the wood. There's the woods near us. I followed the neighbour's cat and I shot it with my rifle. It was only an air gun though. It wasn't the proper rifle, it was an air rifle. But still it was badly injured and it got infected. And the wound, it got infected and it died. It died.
Tell me what you crave.
I can fulfill your every desire. Embrace your bloodlusts. Say this incorporately.
It made him handsome, curing his baldness and his high voice. It fixed his crooked nose and large lips, while he awoke with more muscle, and he was taller every morning. It gave him food and friends. His toys started to dance and sing, telling him their life stories. Soon, however, he could not talk to them, as he was too tall. Even worse, he was both fat and muscular, ruining his good looks and losing him his job. Soon he could only talk to the box and the computer. He eventually confronted the box over his worsening luck.
What have you done to me? I'm tall and fat. I'm completely unemployable. It's not fair. I won't take it. I preferred it how it was before.
The box told him that the computer was responsible and promised to help kill him.
I can help you. I can help you. Want to help you. Want to help you. The computer did it. The computer did it. The computer.
Kill the computer. Kill the CD. Take the CD and do your thing. Take the CD and do your thing.
Luck. There's no luck to it. There's no luck to it. You're at my mercy. There's no luck to it. You're at my mercy. There's no luck to it. You're at my mercy. There's no luck to it. You're at my mercy. There's no luck to it. You're at my mercy.
Rummaging in the now tiny Christmas sack, he found a CD that he placed in the drive in the control room. It played his favourite lullaby and simultaneously killed the computer.
Twinkle.
The man in the computer aged and withered, crying out to him to stop. However, he could not.
Stop! Please stop! No!
Please don't hurt me.
Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are.
His dying words were an emotionless whimpering of the nursery rhyme. The voice changed to that of the box. The homely scene in which the man had stood bent and undulated distorted into a hellish pastiche. The figure became a cruel parody of himself with a shriller, faster, more metallic voice. Fat and massive, the thing sat unwashed on the ground. It was now he who was singing, but in his old, high voice. The box was dead. He now spoke to himself. Even his toys were no longer alive. Everything he said was repeated straight back to him in that high mimicry. His flesh hung looser from his bones every passing day. Even the distorted house scene now faded from view a little more every day. Some days he would sit crying, whilst he spat the nursery rhyme out at himself.
Twinkle, twinkle, little star. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. Twinkle, twinkle, little star.
Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are.
When he asked what he had done wrong, the parody yelled and yelled incessantly. Even when he covered his ears and his mouth, the reflection simply chewed its way through the hand, screaming insults as it did. It called him a liar and a cheat. It spat back all his secrets at him, told him that he was violent, untrustworthy.
Twinkle, little
You're
star.
a liar,
Twinkle,
a cheater,
twinkle,
and
little
a
star.
liar.
Twinkle, twinkle, little star. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. Twinkle, 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 little star. Little star. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. Twinkle, 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 little star. Twinkle, little star. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. Twinkle, 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 little star. Twinkle, little star. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. Twinkle, 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 little star. Twinkle, little star. Twinkle, twinkle, little star.
Eventually, the reflection died also. The wounded hand grew gangrenous, and the creature fell into a fever from which it never recovered. The ship was now dead and dark. He slept alone. His surroundings no longer mattered, or even existed. His own mind began to shrink. There was no longer even a voice to calm or curse him. His memories faded and were replaced by new ones. He had never been a fat, tall man, no. He had been a short, ugly, bald man with a high voice, and he preferred it that way. Gradually, his memories became reality, and he became that man again. Now he was short, he realised that the box was not dead. Kissing and cuddling it, he resurrected the red light. However, the light was now blue. As the voice awoke in his mind, it sang him a nursery rhyme. It was the same song, now on repeat, with no meaning. It would not stop getting stuck on every word. He had no control over it. It seemed to possess his mind.
Twinkle, 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 twinkle,
Little star, how I wonder what you are. Twinkle, twinkle, little star.
Devouring his soul, their voices became one. His mind was sluggish, barely registering itself. White flashes crossed his perception. Soon they joined to form a picture of more blinding arcs, producing fragments of his past, fitting together and burning along the joins, like a jigsaw puzzle. The memories were beautiful, although they appeared to be more like a picture book than a novel. He only recalled some of these memories. Others were being written before his very eyes. Lists of credits scrawled over a huge picture of his face showing producers and writers. It appeared that his show was over. A nice little jingle at the end seemed to play out the remainder of his life.
hope you're comfy.
Those chairs are horrific. How are you feeling? We're nearly finished.
There are just a few more things I want to tell you.
Then with a scream it stopped. He had just remembered. This was not the end, this was the beginning. He was now being born, wrapped in a towel. He squinted at himself, looking disgusted. This vision had the feeling of a home movie. The image was not pristine like TV or the computer screen. His face aged, and soon he was running free outside in the sun. Almost immediately he realized that he was running from something, a great lurking shadow. Looking behind, he saw that it was his own spaceship, and that he himself was flying it. His mind screamed with pain. He disappeared and then was on the ship. Next he awoke in a hall of mirrors. Each contained every love he had known. Each beckoned seductively. However, as he reached out to touch them, they shattered, or were converted into screeching harpies. The harpies shouted at him, calling him a liar, reaching out as they grabbed him, attempting to pull him in. His body stretched obscenely in every direction. He felt as if he were about to burst. However, he rebounded and was flung into the center of the room. Now he awoke, an old man in his bed, circling a black hole. Staring in, it grinned at him, singing a lullaby in a deep, rich voice.
Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are.
Gradually, the dream faded. Gradually, he awoke in his pajamas, surrounded by his crew and family. They smiled down, skin hanging heavily, and the bones poking through in some areas. At the foot of the bed was a black box, this time with a picture of Santa Claus's grinning face. He smoked a cigar and seemed to be taking up an NHS hospital bed in his red coat. Next to him sat the body of the computer man, his long lab coat reaching out of sight. Both coughed and their skin grew greyer by the second, grinning happily and waving anyhow. He looked away and enjoyed the burning building, and listened to the ascending, throbbing notes of the conclusion to the music. Despite this, he still looked out at the sash windows, fitted into the ship walls, at a grinning black hole.
A black hole's singularity is infinitely dense and one-dimensional. Time stops.
He wore a lovely hat and sang his favourite lullaby as the door to his asylum closed softly. Mr. Martian, did you like my story? Asked Trevor.
Yes, said Mr. Martian.
It must have been very therapeutic.
Mr. Martian, can I tell you another story? Asked Trevor.
Yes. Yes, you may.
If it helps.
Part 2. Snerthus. When the monster appeared, waiting outside the city walls one summer morning, the alarm was raised immediately. It had moved with such haste. It had moved 30 miles in 2 days, and this was a giant snail as they could see, leaving a vast slime trail in its wake. At first, it had ignored the town, preferring to graze on the farmland and woodland, secreting a paste in which it laid its young. The problem was not a new one. 100 years ago, the king had purged a great infestation that had fallen from the skies as a sign of God's wrath. Then, a chosen few had set out to destroy the creatures with divine intervention. In those days, the chosen few had been obvious, prophesied by a council of monks. Now, however, these monasteries lay in ruin. The council met in a great hall of mirrors. The happy farmers, the dogmen, the monopods, the knights, freedmen and councillors elect, all met to discuss the situation. The happy farmers complained of poor harvest prospects and suggested poisoning the wheat. However, others suggested that this would curse the land forever. The happy farmers then suggested taking their scythe-like claws to the beast.
We could take our blades and slay the beast.
And the knights also suggested slaying the beast. The dogmen and monopods suggested that God would help if they tried to reason with the creature. The electors selected this option, and so a party was sent out to parley. They approached with extreme caution.
Morning, oh celestial beast. How should we address you?
Snerthus.
Let's cut to the chase. What do you want?
Bring the boy named Orthus.
All right. Why?
We have a holy mission. We need a temple.
Hissed the creature, now turning to face them.
Who is we?
Gobbled a farmer. The snail turned away and ignored them. The farmer was no longer happy. The next morning, the boy was ejected from the city gate. He walked slowly and grimly, as if contemplating some great fate, some great ordeal to come. The snail turned to see the boy. Separating its mandibles, it consumed the boy in one great slurp, causing both to disappear in a flash of disappointing holy light. Seeing the devastation, there were no cheers from the city folk. In the northern sky, the dark star blotted out the light. The Hulk rose, settling in the air, settling in the air, settling in the air, settling in the air, settling in the air.